War. War never changes.
Long before the Institute was struck down by a warrior of the Old World. Long before the NCR and the Legion stained the sands of the Mojave red. Long before the bombs fell, leaving the United States and the world a lawless wasteland. War was waged across the world. Welcome back, everyone. As you may know, it is my job to bring the various worlds of the multiverse and all aspects within them. So today, we will begin our dive into the Fallout setting, starting with the conflicts that brought about the end of the old world. It began in the 2050s, when major resources such as oil began to dry up across the world. But despite this unfortunate development, and the obvious unsustainability of such resources, the world was still dependent on them, leaving the nations of the globe scrambling for what was left. This desperation, coupled with the old geopolitical rivalries, gave rise to extreme nationalistic tendencies, which served to worsen tensions across the globe. The United Nations attempted to intervene to prevent any sort of geopolitical conflict, but they proved just as ineffective as their predecessor, the League of Nations. The rising tensions and struggle for resources ultimately brought about the conflicts known as the Resource Wars. The event that is often considered its unofficial beginning is the U.S. invasion of Mexico in 2051. Hoping to secure their oil reserves, the United States government intentionally destabilized Mexico via economic sanctions, and used the resulting political instability as a casus belli to invade. They claimed the intention was to bring order to the region, but the true purpose was revealed in a surprise television broadcast, showing the American people the now barren Texan oil fields, exhausted and no longer able to satisfy the nation's energy needs. The Resource Wars would officially begin in 2052, when the European Commonwealth, unable and unwilling to pay the exorbitant prices for the oil charged by the Middle Eastern powers, decided to instead take those oil reserves that they were dependent on by force. The war would bring about the disbandment of the United Nations and the first confirmed nuclear exchange, destroying Tel Aviv in 2053. This would send panic throughout the world, with many claiming that the end was near, and it would convince the U.S. government to start preparing for the advent of a nuclear war, offering a very lucrative contract to build fallout shelters across the mainland U.S., a contract which the Vault-Tec Corporation would ultimately win. And as if fears of nuclear war weren't enough, a disease known as the New Plague began to spread across the world, causing countless deaths and a national quarantine within the United States. Hoping to achieve some measure of stability, and to turn public attention away from their own failures, the United States government created a second Red Scare, effectively pinning the blame for all of the American people's hardships on communists, and by extension, the People's Republic of China, serving to increase hostilities between the two nations. By 2059, the United States had continued to consolidate its interests, turning its gaze to Alaska, one of the few locations on Earth still rich in oil, one which they were determined to hold on to. Entrenchments, bunkers, and all manner of fortifications were added to protect the all-too-valuable resources the state still provided, and American military forces were stationed all across its northern neighbor Canada to protect the Trans-Alaskan Pipeline. The Canadian government protested this heavily. However, they did little to resist. With the final exhaustion of the Middle Eastern oil fields in 2060, the Middle East and the European Commonwealth collapsed into infighting, never to emerge again. This further emphasized the need for research and development into alternate forms of energy, primarily nuclear fission. But while the United States had achieved nuclear fission by 2066, it was ultimately too little, too late. For with political and ideological tensions running higher than ever before, and China's floundering economy even more dependent on fossil fuels than the United States, the People's Liberation Army launched an invasion of Anchorage, Alaska, effectively starting the countdown to the end of the world, the Sino-American War. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed our brief overview on the Resource Wars. A dedicated video on the Sino-American War will be coming in the future, but please do tell me what you would like to see next. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know how I can improve my videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.